Recharge. Is it ideal for my living soil? In this video, we're going to get into it. You're here with Mark on Perfect Gardens TV. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. So every year, I always take a second look at the products I'm holding and recommend to you guys. And I always want to know, like, what am I recommending to you? Is it still valuable information? Is there something else I could recommend that's either going to increase your yield, your quality, your return on investment, and help you save money? This year, Recharge actually was another product that I started to do a review on, and to decide whether I wanted to keep holding it in the store or not. It was also one of the highest searched products on the channel. So one of the things I like to do first is just see what's in the bag, right? And does it make sense? Normally, I actually get into the science behind each of the chemical structures. Although in this video, I'm just going to get into the mindset behind the product as I was taking a look at it and examining all the different fungi and bacteria that they offer in the product. So when I turned behind this, there was actually 4 different types of fungi, and there's only 2 bacteria. Then they also have kelp, molasses, humic acid, fulvic acid, amino acids, and other ingredients. So over the last couple of years, besides me personally viewing the difference using Recharge versus not using Recharge and using other products, I've been able to get a personal view where I'm not the most excited around Recharge much anymore. And in this video, I want to really explain the science behind why I'm not excited about this product much anymore. First is, if you want to really be a rock star around soil biology, it is all about enzymatic production. And so if you have an XY axis and you put the bacteria on the X axis and trace minerals on the Y axis, then your curve, if you want an exponential curve, is going to look like this. So if you have more bacteria and you have more trace minerals, the higher that exponential curve. But if you only have 1 or 2 bacteria and you only have a few minerals, then the curve's going to be more of like a very slow, gradual incline. And so when you look at the back of Recharge, for me, around enzymatic production, you need 2 things for enzymatic production. Mainly, you need bacteria and you need trace minerals, because trace minerals are the coenzymes that attach themselves with bacteria that actually make enzymes that your plants need. So for me, I'm looking for how many bacteria are actually in this product. Yes, they do have 4 separate fungi, although in my viewpoint, each of these fungi, yeah, they have different benefits around the relationship with your root system. For me, though, after having a very interesting conversation, and I highly recommend to check out the video with James White, where we're talking about the relationship between an endofungi and the root system, his main critical thing was just at least have 1 species of endofungi in there. And over the last couple years of kind of dibble-dabbling around mushrooms, I've also really, when you look at the petri dishes, you can actually have a mushroom or a fungi that is heavily competing against the same species of fungi in those petri dishes. And what that tells me is that you might not want to always have a number of different types of fungi, because they could be competing against each other versus working in a harmonious situation. I'll make sure to show this to you guys in some pictures actually right now.
Yeah, this is the dish I was talking about. You see how clean that is? And it's a huge difference now. As you know, before, the mycelium were competing with each other, and it's just the genetics right here are very, very strong and just very healthy. I'm very happy with this. So there's no contaminants in that. So now I can transfer that. And if anything gets contaminated, I'm going to be able to know that the dish was fine. And then I'll know that maybe my cleaning practices were wrong, my sanitary practices were wrong, or could have been a substrate or whatever. But it's really important to transfer into agar dish because it's 2-dimensional and you can kind of see if there's any issue versus using live liquid culture that looks clean.
So for me, when I look at the back of Recharge, another thing that over the years it has made me, as I've learned more, I've realized that having excess sugars isn't really actually ideal for bacterial growth. When you have too much sugar, it actually declines the growth of your bacteria. So initially when you put on Recharge, you're putting on a dormant bacteria. So it's going to take a week or two for your soil biology to just get started. And that entire time, you're actually giving molasses, which is a very complex sugar. And so in my viewpoint, because you're putting on a dormant bacteria with the excess sugar, it's actually inhibiting the bacteria to start to really flourish and take off. I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm just saying it's holding it back. The humic acid, the fulvic acid, the amino acids, those are great. Those are always a benefit to the plant. So when I look at the Recharge and I look at all of the fungi in there, the 4 different fungi and only the 2 bacteria, I realize that I'm not really hitting a exponential curve experience with enzymatic production with this product. Over the years, I've actually started to revert a lot of my growers over to using a product called EM1. And the reason why I like it is because on the label, it's only going to say it has 1 bacteria, although the company claims to have 83 separate bacteria, which, like I was telling you, on the XY axis, one of those important things to have is as many bacteria as possible. Really, again, talking to one of the most leading soil biologists, James White, he really expressed just having 1 endofungi is the most important thing, just 1. So then what does that mean with bacteria? It doesn't mean just having 2 of those is critical. It means having as many of those as possible and then having as many trace minerals as possible as well. So that's why we recommend the product Drops of Balance, because it has 64 plus ionic sulfated trace minerals. So now we're stacking that XY axis, allowing for that exponential curve to really happen. One of the additional things I like about EM1 is that you're putting on activated microbes already. So they're alive, they're not dormant, you don't have to wake them up. And if you use the EM1, a bottle that is like a 16-ounce bottle, you ferment it could turn into being worth over 350 gallons of nutrients. So it's a very cost-effective product. And like I said, when you use it with the Drops of Balance product, it creates an exponential curve around enzymatic production. So then that gets into the last thing we need, right, is at least a single endofungi. And that's why I recommend Mycos. Mycos, you only use it 1 time during transplanting, or every time you transplant, you add a little more Mycos on there, because the fungi actually live on the granular portion. You don't want the water-soluble material because it chops up all the fungi and destroys them. You want the granular material, and every time you transplant, make sure you're putting it near the root system, because the roots actually have to travel past the granular for the relationship to start to take hold. That's why, every year I have to look at all my products with a new set of eyes. I can't just keep pushing them every year. I have to re-examine them, ask myself, are they still in line with my values? What do I know this year that I didn't know last year or the year before, so that I can bring a higher level quality of service to you guys? So for Recharge, I still think it's a decent product. If you only have $30-40, you're going to have some endofungi, you're going to have some bacteria, some kelp, some molasses. Although what I recommend is you're probably only going to want to use it in the beginning of your grow. Once again, putting the excess sugars will actually inhibit your bacterial growth, which is the exact opposite of what you want. So it's a great thing to use if you only have a few dollars. I would recommend only using in the beginning and then stop using it unless you, for some reason, added something that made your soil biology dormant. Then you're going to have to re-inoculate your soil. If you have a little bit more money to spend and you want to really see the true potential behind your terpene profiles on your plant, then what I would recommend is using EM1, Drops of Balance, and if you haven't transplanted it already, use the Mycos from Extreme Gardening for that single species endofungi. I hope this video was helpful on selecting products that are going to create a higher quality relationship between you and your plants. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and have a great grow, everyone.